in turning around a story and changing the story. Because I think one of the things, and we talk to you all the time about it, is about your focus, your language, your state. You know what? I definitely need to get up and have a dance. And I was thinking about Brave as a bit of a victim. And I was thinking about myself too, and Eliza and Matt and all of us as like, poor us. Like, how have we gone through this? And why us? And why do this? And you know what? He changed it all. And he said, the thing is, with Brave's injury, Lauren, is that no, she's unlikely to get completely better. Like, she's really not. And at the same time, when you look at her, this is a war hero. Like, you have a war hero, and your war hero is returning like glorious from literally many sort of war wounds. And she's coming home victorious. She's coming home and she's made it.
You also showed me that it doesn't matter who we are when we love our dogs, whether we're a dog trainer, whether we have a working dog, a family dog. When we love our dogs and suddenly they go through something really significant and they go from walking to not being able to walk, we all go through the same emotions and we all have very similar struggles, which is what we're talking about today. So please give a warm welcome to Lauren Langman, and maybe later Brave. Before we get too far into everything, Lauren, most people in this right now probably know who you are, but for those that you might be a newer face, please, if you're muted, unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are. Oh my gosh, don't cry yet.
It's hard. It's hard even listening. Like, it's been such a, I suppose it's a really, it's a tough year. Like, it's a tough couple of years in so many ways for so many people. Like, I think that there have been such amazing, powerful lessons learned through this. And even just listening to you, like, wow, it's been a, roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. There are huge ups, there are huge downs. And I suppose I'm Lauren Langman. I run multiple cool companies. I have a really high, energetic, buzzy life. And then I never expected this to happen to my dog. Like, I just didn't think it would happen to me. I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, I didn't know what an ANNPE was. I didn't expect any of this. And I suppose you get to a certain age and you start to realize that some stuff is real that you maybe didn't really think about when you were little, right? Like, you don't think about these things. You don't, if you haven't gone through like trauma or an accident or anything like this, like this is like what we've been through is grief. And I suppose I didn't realize it would happen to me. I didn't think any of this would be us. And yeah, so it's been a really interesting, difficult, challenging, depends on the language you choose, right? It's been a difficult year, or going through this has been difficult. However, like, what an amazing journey, and the lessons that we've learned through it have been incredible. And it does definitely, it makes me emotional. Loads of people that would know us, they wouldn't know us in this capacity. It takes a lot of courage to sort of tell people. I didn't even want to tell people. I didn't even know how to tell people. I didn't know how to say this was something that had happened. I didn't know how to even, it was just so big. Like, for me, it's a really life-changing thing.
Tell me more about that, actually. Well, first of all, we want to learn about Brave as well, but tell me a little bit about, because that was something that was a bit of an aha moment for me as well, because, I mean, you've helped thousands, if not millions, of dogs and dog parents online through your online training. And to be in that position, and then I remember you saying to me, you felt like you had done something wrong.
I was looking for how were we at fault? I felt guilty. I felt incredibly guilty, incredibly sorry. And I'm so glad we had, a lot of people would have seen Brave's video. If you haven't seen Brave's video, we put it on YouTube, and we only put it on YouTube this week.
Ellie will drop the video in the comments as well.
Yeah, which is, I think I'd love people to share that video, because for me, it's such a powerful journey. It gives hope. It gives perspective, balance, gratitude, all of the things that I think we need in life and these days. For me, I'm really glad we had Brave's accident on CCTV. We didn't mean to catch it on CCTV. We just have CCTV on the property. And so after the event, within about 24 hours, I really wanted to know what had happened. I was like, I don't understand. Did one of my other dogs run into her? Brave was just running in the paddocks with the dogs. We have the most beautiful setup. We have every facility that any dog trainer in the world would be wanting. It's a beautiful facility here in Devon. I didn't mean to get emotional. Even just listening, you get. This is like 2 years in, really, but we have everything that we ever wanted here, and then the one thing that you want is your health or your dog's health, and that accident is a freak accident. And for a long time, it took me a while to understand that is just unlucky, right? That is just unlucky, or lucky, depending on the lessons that you take from it. And for me, Brave was sprinting, running through the paddocks with my other dogs. I was up in the living room and we heard a really loud scream. We ran out, and that was Brave, right? And it's one of those things that you just don't think it's ever going to be you, and you don't think it's ever going to be something you would go through, and you don't realize that actually you've become a carer. So overnight you are a carer, and the vets send you home and they say, off you go and everything's going to be good in 6 weeks. So I went and everything was going to be good in 6 weeks. But what they meant is she'd be able to go to the toilet without me maybe holding her up. But they didn't mean that she was going to be normal. And I was kind of expecting, I was coming 6 weeks, and I was like, right, 6 weeks, we make it to 6 weeks and I'll have a normal dog. And then you start to like question what is normal. And it's a whole journey.
Well, talk more about that though, could you? This idea of normal, because it's something that we talk about. So I'm a rehab therapist that was inspired by my own dog's journey to do a lot of what I'm doing now. And this idea, we have to be very careful about the language that we use, because your idea of normal could be very, very different from somebody else's idea of normal.
My idea of normal would be Brave as she was, right? Like sprinting, jumping, playing, catching, chasing, hunting, just generally being a really cool border collie, right? Fast twitch, just the coolest off-lead dog. Like she had every bit of freedom here, and she took advantage of it. She loved it, and she is the most obedient dog, and so she had full freedom being a really obedient dog. You would never need to be on a lead, and now it's like it is a complete life change for an owner and for a dog like Brave. It doesn't mean, and it's one of the things we're going to share. It's not over, it's just different, right? And I love that for me. It really helped, because I think I spent a long time like really thinking it was over.
No, it's one of those things that when your dog goes through this injury, now my dog initially, she had something very similar to ALS in people. Sammy did. And if people are watching, please hit the heart button for Sammy, because she's the reason we're having this conversation. But I remember when she tore her cruciates, and I actually had to get somebody to carry her out of the woods for me, because I remember thinking, walk it off. You'll be okay, walk it off. And it was before that I got into canine rehab, and she didn't walk it off. She stood there and was like, I can't walk, Mom. And I just remember standing there going, I don't know what to do right now. And that whole
it's a horrible feeling. I remember exactly this, like Brave was, I raced straight over to Tom's, and I lifted her straight in the van, Eliza screaming, like it was horrific. And I knew there was something seriously wrong. I didn't know what, but I knew it was seriously wrong. And Tom had done some like pain tests, and he was like, couldn't get any deep pain. And you then know you are seriously, right? Tom is a vet, my absolute dog's like sidekick, and he lives like 10 minutes from me, and I ran straight to him, like straight to him. We picked Brave up, and then he was just like, straight to specialist, I'll refer you, like go. And so we were at the specialist within an hour and 40 minutes. They were fantastic. And at the same time, like in that moment, you don't know what the hell to do. You just know it's not right. Like I'm like, you're in panic, and at the same time, you know something traumatic has happened. You don't really know what, but you know you're in trouble.
And what happened when you brought Brave to the vet? Take us back, if you can, to that time when you first went back to the vet. in those initial hours, what were you told, and kind of what did you do? How did you process it? And what kind of happened when you came back home?
So I sat in the, you're not allowed to sit in the back of a vehicle with no seats in it. Like I sat in the back, our van is converted. So I sat in the back with Brave. I stabilized her back with my leg, and I just stroked her. She was like shaking and trembling. She's quite an emotional dog anyway. I mean, she's really aptly named. Like she's a cool dog. And so we drove there, got to the vets. We'd already rang them, explained everything, sent videos. Being us, we video everything. And so they already kind of knew what they were expecting. They got her straight onto a trolley. She's a really well-behaved dog. They strapped her down and they wanted to x-ray. And then they wanted to rule out spinal break. Would it be? They wanted to rule out a fracture, which they said would mean putting to sleep pretty much immediately in their eyes. And I looked into Brave's eyes and she just gave me this look like, this is not it. Like, this is not it. And I kind of looked at her like, I don't know what this is. She went off in a trolley. They'd strapped her down. They said they would give her some level of imagined sedation or pain relief. And that's kind of it. You're left there, right? Like you're left to the other end of that. And so for me, that was tough and tough to let her go without knowing what they're going to do. The next morning they MRI'd, and when they MRI'd her, they found that they said they couldn't decide whether it was what's the other one, FCE. They weren't sure. They thought FCE, but when we sent them the video, because we pulled the video off quite quickly, and when we got the video, they straight away went into, no, this is ANNPE. Yeah. And this is a typical way that it would happen, like very, very typical. Fit dog, healthy dog, active dog, sprinting, fast sprinting, jumping. This is exactly how this injury happens.
Mm-hmm. And then for anyone watching, we're not going to go too far into the anatomy and diagnostics of it, but there's different kinds of disc type injuries in the back that can cause this. And this is basically when you think of a disc, like a jelly donut with a jelly center, a little bit of it basically gets compressed. And when it comes out, it hits the spinal cord and it will cause essentially what is a bruise. And it can lead to some form of paralysis. And to what extent that paralysis is really has to do with how significant the symptoms are at the time of the injury. And I know, Lauren, you had mentioned that Matt had said she didn't have much pain sensation, which isn't necessarily a great sign in the early stages, but I mean, she really has come a long way. I don't know if you saw the picture I pulled up. She has the most amazing, amazing eyes.
I've had dogs and I've had dogs and I love all my dogs. Some dogs I just feel like they've been here before. I might get a little bit like philosophical and crazy. I'm definitely like a little bit out there Crystal fan, and a little bit sort of like there's another world out there. And
yeah,
we get on well.
Crystal's behind me.
Like Brave is a dog who I've seen before and I'll see again. Like she's so human and she's so you can't help but just love her. Like she's just so, like there are so many dogs that I think you would struggle to do what you've done. Like I even just some of the care that we have to go through, or like the first few weeks, or even recently, like we've had to do a bit more care again recently. There's ebbs and flows, ups and downs. And you can do it with a dog like Brave. Like you can really do it with a dog like Brave, whereas some dogs you can't do it. I don't think it's so easy. I think there's different work. Like she makes it easier for you. Very, very soulful dog. And her name, I'm like, God, where did we get that from? Because that's all she's done. And it's funny, I haven't talked about it live, and whenever I do, whether it's on a phone to a friend, or I always get emotional. And so for me, like even being live with you talking about it, I was like, can I do that? Because it's definitely a challenge, because it definitely gets you. And I think the thing that gets you is this whole like this, I think there's a level of guilt that you feel like you should have done better, or you could have done better, or you could, and you feel bad for them, right? Like you feel like they should have had a different like journey. And then the other one for me is So like a why me, like I can go into like a victim state about it, like why me, and really I need to say try me, but sometimes I definitely say why me, like I say why me, like why us, why our family, why Eliza, because her relationship with Eliza, like incredible. And I remember Liza saying to me, and this one definitely makes me sad, she said to me, I don't feel brave without Brave. And I just remember being like, oh
gosh, that's, tell us more about what this was like for your family and what this kind of journey was, because it really does, when you say it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a pack to help an injured dog.
like you need, I mean, it's so funny. I should have taken a video before I left, because I was racing up here at 10 to
she literally was in an underwater treadmill a half an hour ago, or I was like, how are you going to do that?
I'm coming, Sarah, I'm coming.
We're getting lots of hearts, lots of love in here, Lauren.
Oh no, so many good people, so many good people. We're so lucky, we're surrounded by so many amazing people. Brave's team is phenomenal. We are so lucky with the team. Everybody adores Brave. She's a pleasure to work with. She's a pleasure to be with. She's a good energy. I think you get some dogs who are good energies. She's a really good energy. I have a couple of naughty energies. She's a good energy. She's like team good. I think for the family, yeah, it was big. Like Liza used to dance all the time. She doesn't really dance so much. And that, again, it's another one that makes me sad. She's a really good dancer. And her and Brave would dance all the time. Mm-hmm. She doesn't really dance so much. So I think I definitely think there's trauma there. I definitely think there's like definitely pain from a family point of view. At the same time, like huge effort, huge pulling together. Matt and I are closer than ever, like from having, like I would never get him out of bed at like 5 to 6 in the morning. And we deliberately walk at 5 to 6 in the morning because that will help like Brave, or we get up like sort of pretty early in the morning to make sure that all goes well. And so I think Matt's out there putting thumbs up. He's just got out of the treadmill by the looks of it. He's like, you got it. He knows I'm terrible at technology. So I think, yeah, we're definitely stronger than ever. Eliza being like crazily brave throughout all of it, really. And me realizing that she's still a little girl and sometimes she acts so grown up, and you look down and like I said, I left a minute ago and she was under the dog bed reading a book while Brave's on her treadmill, and she knows she's got to be really quiet because Brave gets very easily distracted. And that was actually not long after Brave's accident. So Eliza wanted her on the bed, so I lifted her on the bed, and Eliza was like, I can still have her on the bed with me. And so yeah, I think there's and then the team that work with her, my team here at Devon Dogs, she's very, very lucky. Teresa, Emma, literally Matt, me. We've just been down there with some of my Devon Dogs team, Amy, Montana, Mel, who's been phenomenal and jumps on Zoom with me. And Matt and everybody, Leslie, like literally a huge team. There's and then I worry I forget someone. It's that big, like Rebecca, who comes in and treats her. Like it's massive, and it is definitely life changing.
It's definitely, and this happened, I was doing the timeline again, this happened during COVID, didn't it?
So September 20 and so
you're a little different in the UK because I'm in Canada. When did
COVID was March? So yeah, we were on off lockdowns. My dad had been diagnosed with cancer. Everest, Brave's sister, had cancer. Both of them terminal, or diagnosed as terminal. Brave, and I kind of felt like at some points it was too much. Like it was too much. It was definitely like I tried to say to our like community, feel excitement, not overwhelm, and I struggled to find excitement then. Like I definitely found times where it's hard to be excited when you're like, this is coming at me thick and fast and I don't know where to stop it. And there were definitely times like that. And I was like, I don't want to be like running any business. I don't really want to be like any of these things right now. I just, you kind of don't know where to turn. And that's where all of the people around you get a huge strength from, like I said, amazing team, so much support, brilliant like delegation of things to enable you to carry on, because I think everyone will relate to this. There are things in your life that you can't always handle yourself. Like some things you need to lean on others to give you a hand. And it's been amazing. Like you can't do everything alone. Feel free to ask for help, lean on others, delegate where you need to. Like sometimes it would be delegate things like making sure Braves, like I didn't even think about things like pressure sores. I didn't think about things like the fact that we'd need to turn Brave over, that we'd need to make sure that like she never lost, she wasn't incontinent, which was really, really good, because some dogs with that condition can be incontinent, but she definitely quickly got pressure sores if we didn't move her or make sure her bed was really, really correct for sort of how we sort of mattressed it out, really. We converted our bedroom. Brave has a big space in our bedroom that is very safe for her, although she's just demanded she moves out recently, which was really quite upsetting. I found it quite offensive. She wants to go back in the big room, so but she's been with us in our bedroom for a long time. She can't jump on things anymore, so I mean it's just big. But yeah, there were times that I definitely felt I couldn't handle it, if I'm honest, Sarah, and there were times that I felt that maybe I don't know, even ethically, have you done the wrong thing? You ask yourself a lot of questions that maybe you didn't ever think of before.
You 100% do. And this is what I meant when I said what you're experiencing, it's not, everybody goes through those questions of like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Is it the right, like, and
I'm not qualified for this. Like, I am not qualified for this. This is not, I am so, and everyone says, Brave, so lucky to have you. And I'm like, we are like sports dog trainers. We train fast dogs. We work with fit, healthy dogs. Even my old dog, like Poppy, was 17 and still sprinting. Like, I have not experienced an injury. I've not experienced a trauma. I've not experienced anything remotely like this. This is like a whole new level of learning. And the learning is fast, and neurological conditions are a whole new way of thinking.
They are for most people, and you are getting some comments. People want to make sure that you know that you're getting lots of love in the comments.
Oh, I should. I do have my phone.
They're worried about you.
I think it's funny. Lots of people sent me like good luck today, and I think yeah, talking about it, I talked about this at Super Trainer. So Super Trainer is one of our Absolute Dogs events. And I talked about it at Super Trainer, but it was so much easier because it was on camera. And the thing about cameras, and lots of people didn't know that this even happened. And I really thank my close team, because no one shared it, right? And I think that's really special to know that my close team felt that it was private, and that they needed to wait for me to be able to share it. I couldn't talk about it. Like, even now I struggle, right? So talking about it to a camera is very different, because when you're on camera, you can put your show face on, and if you do really not fancy it, then you just hit end, delete, and then you try again another day or another session, or you go do some jumping jacks or listen to some loud music, and then ta-da, and then go again. When you're live, I think it's very raw, it's very real. I think people hide away from raw and real. People don't like to show where it's at, and sometimes don't even know how to. And I think at first I didn't even know how to talk about it.
Different for you. You're such a high energy person and I know we've just really matched, but you're such a high energy person. And it was interesting as I was doing a little bit of research on you, and I was like, she went to law school. And being a teacher, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're really used to having the answers. And
all of them,
and to guide people. And this just must have been the level of helplessness, because we all feel it. Like, I mean, even as somebody that works in the field, I still feel it when my own dogs get hurt. So I just
absolutely. I always feel like I'm the person that if people feel wobbly or unsure of a decision, or like they want someone to be very decisive, I'm so like, for some people, way too blunt, or maybe need a filter. Like, I'm straight away, that's how it is, pretty straight talking, quite clear. That's where the camera is good. Again, it can give you a filter that you may not always have. Like, it's really, really, I always feel like I know what to do. I've got a plan, I'm ready, I'm on a mission. things to do, people to see, places to go, businesses to run. Let's go, like we can do this. And then like hit with bang, 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 like my dad, Everest Brave. And I was like, what, this is like life-changing. And I don't really know the answers here. And I think I did get pretty low a couple of times. I'm so lucky with, again, the team. The team have made it all very, very much more doable, and Matt is an absolute rock and saint, and manages and like even now if I'm in the car and I hear certain songs, I'll just be crying, and he looks and he's like, hands on my leg, and he knows what it's about, like he knows. And I have to be careful around Eliza too, because the energy definitely is so quick to go. But I think that was probably one of the biggest things, Sarah. I didn't know the answers. I didn't know where it was going. I also, if I'm honest, for those first 12 weeks, I didn't know Brave was going to be okay. Like I didn't know she was going to be okay. And even today, we have ups and downs where you kind of go, am I being fair? Like, am I being fair? And I think I am. And I think that she has good quality of life. And I think that we do everything we can with her, but you don't know at what point that tips. But that could be any dog. Like that can be any dog could have that. It's just Brave's more prone to things now. She has 3 good legs, not 4. And she has way more compensations than a fit, healthy 5-year-old dog would have. And yet the day of that accident, she was fit, healthy, perfect. And so not knowing the answers and not knowing the plan, I think really wobbled me.
And that really is part of it. And I was wondering, how did you take care of Lauren?
Lots of support. It's a really good question, because I think I naturally did it and didn't really know. Lots of support from people around me, asking for people to help with things and support with things, and coming up with a team. Like we changed a couple of our team members' roles to help with Brave. Going to the beach and being in water, like putting my feet in water and like grounding myself a little, like whether that was up on the moors and standing in water or in the beach and walking through waves. Like for me, those 2 things are very grounding. People say things like meditate, like why don't you meditate? And I'm like, I don't meditate. Like what on earth is meditation? I cannot sit still. But I was grooming Eliza's new pony earlier, and it's really weird. Matt doesn't like ponies, and we were driving home. We were driving home, and Matt's gone off the road, and I'm like, he's going to see this pony, isn't he? Like I can see, because the pony's staying at a livery yard really close to us. Beautiful place. And I really am a huge believer in like things are all happening for a reason. And weirdly, this pony is like meditation. Like I'm grooming him and I'm in a really good space. Or we were recently in Mexico, and when I came back from Mexico, I was thinking about it, and I was sat there feeding the fish. Like those things for me are like your meditation moments, the moments when you can just take yourself someplace. And for me, feeding the fish, grooming the pony, his name is Rio. And that's a fun story too. Liza had a hobby horse called Rio, and then I found a real pony called Rio. Anyway, he literally, that's a meditation, and giving yourself an outlet and a break. We started movie nights, which we'd never had before. And we would definitely exercise, like changing certain things in your day, music, baths, like whatever it is that changes your state a bit. I think being able to change your state is really powerful. For me, eucalyptus oil, having great scents around you, making sure that other things are in place that might make your day easier. So whether, and not feeling guilty about them. So whether you have some help in any direction, not feeling bad about that, like actually trying to support that whole. And if you can support them back and serve back in some way, then show gratitude back.
I think that's so important, because it's a caregiver role, whether or not we realize it as the time. And caregiver burnout is a real thing. And a lot of people, the more I talk to dog parents, I realize how hard it is to ask for help and to try not to try and do everything yourself, and also trusting others with your, I'm going to say heart dog, but trusting others to help you and take care of her, and being okay with that and not feeling guilty about it. And
also when other people help, trying to not be perfect. And that's really hard for me. Like that's really hard, because I have a really analytical eye. I'm very, very much into like specific fine tuning of like elite sports dogs, and actually losing that idea of perfect. That's quite a big one. Like it's, and enjoying different, and enjoying experimenting, and enjoying trying something out. Like those things are all like uncharted new territory for me, and in completely like different grounds, like to what we had before. Like even I'm just looking around here, like even changing up our setups, like we've got floors like that down so that we can make sure that Brave doesn't slip. Like everything's different suddenly. It's a whole, and I don't want to scare anyone, at the same time I want to inspire people, but I think there's so many things we can consider to make things better for ourselves and better for the dogs that we're caring for, and everyone around as well that also cares for them.
I agree 100%. And with Sam, I actually created something called the SAM system, which sounds a little bit cheesy, but it's this idea of support, adapt, and move, so that you create a plan and you kind of can almost block it into those little bit of categories. And, you know, there is things in your environment that you can adapt. And there's things that we take for granted when our dogs are healthy and mobile, that suddenly when you have a dog that can't walk, you're like, well, how do I get my dog outside to toilet them? Like suddenly these things change.
You just don't even know those things, right? Like for me, I was like, how do I get her to go to the toilet? She can't walk. Like, how do you get a dog that can't get up? And those people who haven't seen Brave's video, she can't even stand. Like, she can't even stand. She falls over in a stand. And when you've gone from like fast, active, sprinty dog to a dog that actually can't even stand, like for me, this is like scary territory to be in. If you've never seen this before, and this is the way your dog comes home, and there is nothing from the vet, like this kind of makes me angry, and it makes me want to support. And this is partly why I'd want everyone to share this, and I'd want everyone to share it all over. Like, you share it as many places as you like. I'm ready to share it. I wasn't ready to share it in September when it happened, and I wasn't ready in October, November, December.
Now.
Well, I wasn't ready to share it for a heck of a long time, Sarah. Like, it's taken me a long time to come, I suppose, not even to terms with it or peace at it. I'm still some days a bit angry. Like, I'm like not brave, but I definitely feel that the vet world doesn't get this, and there's no support there really, or at least not my vet world. And she came home with a sling that pulled all her core out the wrong way, and we were told to just rest her and do nothing else. And so we could have done so much sooner, and we could have input better earlier on. But we had to rely on other people helping us that we went out of our way to find. There was, like, Brave may not have got to this stage if this hadn't have been my mindset to find other people. And I believe I could have done even better if I'd known day one the sorts of things I could be doing. And I just didn't know. I was literally like rabbits in the headlights with this. I just didn't know where to turn. And I was also like mildly, I suppose, like I said, felt guilty, felt shocked. Trauma shocks you and grief shocks you. Like you I remember, like, it's like a pain. Like, you don't know, you wake up anxious, you go to bed anxious, you don't really know how to play it. And so you don't always ask the right questions. But now, if this gets shared, and keep sharing it, for me, Brave's video, this interview, like, for me, more people will know about it. And I hope it doesn't happen to dogs, and I know it will, right? Like, I hope it doesn't happen. And I know realistically, this is the sort of injuries that fit, healthy dogs can have, because I've seen it, and I've seen it pretty much firsthand. And if we have more information, and we research more, and we share more, and we let other owners know about it, like, I've talked to so many people that have put their dogs to sleep with this condition. And this just makes me so sad when I know that actually this is livable. And I think if I wasn't maybe quite as pedantic as I am, Brave would probably get even more freedom than she does. She gets quite a bit of freedom. She's off lead on walks. I'm still quite careful. I am very careful. Like Tokyo, we have her son from before, obviously, this happened, and I'm very strict with him. I'm like, you can't rush around with her. You can't play with her. I'm really like, it's a different life. He can't like rugby tackle her like he does the other dogs. So I'm strict with their lifestyle more than I was.
it's really hard not to kind of venture into that helicopter mom kind of place where you want to put them in a bubble and protect them, which isn't good to do either, because at the end of the day, Brave is still a dog. She's, you know, she still has a life to live.
And what I realized is she wants to live with the other dogs and not just me. So I've kept her kind of to me and to Matt and I in our house, like sort of bedroom. And so actually I had to kind of reintegrate her to work within our dogs, like, and that was important. So we've got like an adaptation, sort of really beautiful dog space, just as you come in our house. It's just a beautiful, beautiful room. And that's where they kind of hang out and chill out and have marrow bones if they want, and anything else. And she's like, I want to be in there, not just in your bedroom. And so she kind of got a bit faffy about it. I was like, sassy. So she's been demanding. And the only reason I kept that away from her a little was it's got a slate floor. And those are things you start to think about. Like, this has a slate floor. My bedroom has like complete padded out for her. And there's a level of like really bubble wrap and like you want to sort of keep them all together. So yeah.
There are dog booties and things that we can do though, and that's part of what you discovered. I know you get the help them up harness and things like that.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing, that harness though, Sarah. Like, if my vets told me nothing of it, and that help them up harness was probably the single best purchase. Straight away, we should have gone home from the vets with this harness. I bought 2 of them within like a week. Like, I was like,
said that yesterday. I was like, I wish every vet clinic carried and sold help them up harnesses. Yeah. Like, they connect the front and the back, they save your back, and they so what, for anybody, do I have one in here? I'm just looking around, but I don't. They have what we call a pelvic floor lift. So they, instead of having your dog like a sling at the waist and then they're hanging over the back, they lift them from the pelvis. So if you
look at the picture, Sarah, that you had of Brave in the sling, and this was us taking her from the vets, and you look at what that does to like her posture and her spinal like shape. I mean, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And that's what you're told to walk her on for the next 6 weeks. Well, what are you going to do to her top line? What are you going to do to her core? Are you going to be engaging all the right muscles? Are you going to be causing even more compensations? For me, this is what the vets recommended. And you look at the posture and you can see her left leg there, that she really has very little ability to do much with it at all. But that shape for me is exactly why the vets need work too. Like, I'm like, guys, this is a physio sent us home with this. So this is the vet physio in the clinic. So for me, there's work to be done here. And this is why, for me, sharing, talking about it, there's work to do, and I'd love people to share it. I'd love people to talk about it.
Please do share it. And I think too, some of it, sometimes it's just that they don't know. People don't know what's available.
Agreed.
Is again a big part of why I created the Living with Dogs with Disabilities group, because I saw so many people online, because I created that group after Sammy, God love her, had passed on, and then people couldn't go into the clinics with their dogs. And there was so much struggle with, what do I do? How do I help my dog? And I mean, as you can see, she had a different condition, but, and this is a wheelchair, but sometimes I think too, it's just that people don't know what's available. There's a lot of vets and rehab therapists that have joined that group just to learn what can help. Like, we actually had, and again, I don't have it in this room, but something called a wiggleless back brace. I was thinking of you. We need to connect on that, but just to offer again some core strengthening, facilitation of the muscles in the back and things along those lines for awareness. But I wanted to ask you, because you had said that, you know, we always say, I wish I had known, I'm going to rephrase it to, I wish I knew then what I know now versus I wish I had done things differently, because I think we follow in a certain path for a very specific reason. But if you were to give some advice to those that might have a dog that has a significant injury, what would you tell them to ask? Like, I think sometimes we're fearful. We just take what is told to us and we leave, and we don't ask enough questions. What would you have done differently, or asked maybe differently in the early?
I think I would have definitely started immediately. Like, start immediately. Your work starts immediately. The minute they're in the vets, or any of your dogs are having any some form of referral or being diagnosed, your work is starting. Whether you're researching, whether you're reaching out, whether you're linking in. The cool thing with Zoom now is that, or the way that the world is now, is you can connect with anyone anywhere. And so I was working with a great friend of mine, Mel. I was working with Montana. I was working with Amy. I was chatting to you. I was literally
global network for you.
I was connecting. And I think having the courage to connect, the world seems to lack courage these days to like be able to just reach out, or cold reach out. I think cold reach out. I think your dog needs you, and you are your dog's best advocate. And if you're not going to fight for them, who else is? Like, who else is? And Brave just made it absolutely, there was no possibility we weren't going to try. Like, we were trying, like we were absolutely trying. And if she was fighting, we were fighting with her. And as much as that was a funny old like time for me reaching out and connecting, if I knew now, like if I knew then what I know now, I absolutely would have connected quicker. And I would have tried to do more, not, you don't want to rush it, but little things that you can be doing each and every day. The daily actions that you take make such a big difference, whether that's different sensations or like one of the things Brave's got is like a channel of different textures that our team literally put her through every day and work with her. I could have been doing that much sooner, even with the Help 'em Up harness. I could have been doing that. And I was too scared to as well. I was very, very scared to do things. I think with neurological conditions, you can't be scared to try something, because you actually, what I really hate about neurological conditions is they are not linear. And I really hate it. Like, I really hate it. And I know you shouldn't hate stuff. I really hate it. And for me, that threw me. I was like, these are not linear. Like, this is not the order you'd expect. And she can feel this, she can't feel that. She can do this, she can't do that. One day she's kicking her leg out here, the other day she can't feel her leg, the next day, yeah. So but it's not linear. So I think with neurological stuff, for me, keep trying stuff, like really keep trying stuff.
And I mean, I always describe the spine almost like the spinal cord, like a superhighway. So if you think of a highway with a lot of lanes on it, and then your on and off ramps coming off, could be your nerves coming off. But those outermost lanes are usually like, that would have been what impacted Brave first, was her body awareness and her ability to control her limbs. That as things rewire themselves, essentially, you get this misfiring, there's all these different things going on. So there's a general process that you go through, but it goes like this. You want to make sure it's going that way, but it goes like this.
And it's when it's doing those that you kind of really can self-doubt, you can wobble, you can think that what you're doing isn't working. And I think that would probably link to my next tip, which would be have faith. Like, have faith that if you're doing your absolute best, and don't doubt that is good enough. And some days it's more than others. You're doing great. And I try really hard, and I hope my team see that you are trying your best, and your best right now is enough. And yeah, I absolutely, Brave loves the pool. It's one of the things that she desperately, she looks her most level happy self when she's near the pool. And everybody who gets to come in the pool with Brave loves being in the pool with Brave. She's like literally electric in the pool.
There's something to be said, especially if your dog is going through a neurologic condition and you have access to water. And I say that carefully, because you really do want, there's a process to this, and you really do want to work with somebody. Definitely. Like I listened to your interview with Montana, and she talks about how you're not just dunking them in a pool and they're swimming because she can't use her leg. We're teaching them to walk again using the water, but the idea of being upright in the water, supporting her in that upright position, helps a dog that has mobility challenges or can't be upright to feel more like a dog.
And that is just, there's nothing that you can, like, that is powerful stuff, isn't it? To feel like a dog, like to feel that she is, and in the pool, she feels like she has all the ability in the world. Mel and Montana. Mel does so much static stuff with me, and that has been really powerful. Our team, they were doing that a minute ago just before I came up here. Like the static stuff's been really, really powerful as well. Like actually just going back to, she needs to have a core. Like we've got to work on her core. Let's not try and walk until we can sort of stand, right? Like let's get the stand base first.
Absolutely.
And that was interesting. And how quickly you could use the water therapies. And you don't always know. I didn't know when we built our place, like that we would need this. And yet Brave couldn't have a better setup for what we need. Like Brave really has the best setup. Like it is the most amazing setup. And yet you don't know the future purpose of something when you first do it. The other thing I was just remembering is, and this one always makes me a bit sad too, I say to anyone that works with Brave, this is Brave's best part of the day. Like whether you're in a grumpy mood or whether you're like feeling down or sad or anything, when you are working with her, whatever you're doing, whether we're letting them out to the toilet or whether I'm going to train or whether she's going into the treadmill or whether she's coming up here to do some food work, that is her favorite part of the day. Like that is how you say it is, that is her favorite part of the day. That might be, that is the time where she feels the most like amazing special dog that she is. Like never ever underestimate how much of an impact you have on their day. And actually that can relate to anybody. That could be your nan, that could be a granddad, that could be your sister, your brother, your mother. Like it could be anybody. Like you may have the best 5 minutes of the day. I think she might come in a minute, so I'm going to move this one over here because she will come racing over. I think you can let her go. She's like, I'm coming anyway.
Yay, Brave.
Come near you. She says, I'm coming in. And so she says, I'm coming fast. It's a bit wet outside. Brave wants lots of hearts. She did a sprint.
Brave wants lots of hearts. And you are getting lots of hearts. I know you usually interact with your audience a lot.
Yeah, I'm normally talking to them all. It's hard.
They're probably like, where is she?
I'm talking, my phone's not on actually. I need to put it back on. I was changing. Come over, do you want to find a toy or you're thinking the bed?
Lauren, I think you raise a really good point here. Like Brave reflects our dog is our dog at the end of the day. They're not the injury that they get. They're our dog, and that they reflect our energy so much. Like your energy just shifted as she came in, and then she's like, Mom, love me. And suddenly you feel a lot better. And I think that's really important to realize, is that our dogs really do, they're mirror images of us. If you're having a hard day, she's having a hard day.
You've got to do your best by them, whether this is someone you're caring for or whether this is, you've got to do your best by them. And at the same time, yes, sometimes we just need to adjust a little. And for me, again, it links back to like meditation. Whenever I'm working with Brave or any of my dogs, that for me is meditation. Like that is when I can go more in that zone or more still with it. And we're just so privileged to do it. We're so privileged. And I think to not have gratitude, and that's one of my other points, would be gratitude. Like show gratitude, even if it's like, I'm grateful that she did not have a spinal fracture. I'm grateful that that she's actually able to walk. I'm grateful that she has a lot of cool things she still gets to do. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that we taught her a lot of cool skills before she was ever injured, because actually things like staying on a bed, being treated, having massage, going in the swimming pool, going in the treadmill, all of her basic manners training as a cool pet dog, all of the concept training that we do, all of the confidence, the calmness, all of the things that absolute dogs stand for. Brave is like a brilliant advocate for those. This was before the accident. After the accident, she's even better. Like she's such a well-trained dog that she makes looking after her a privilege. Like she makes it easy for you because we've trained so many brilliant concepts before this ever happened. And of course, we never want this to happen. Like I never in a million years would wish it on anybody, like not anybody. And yet, if it happens, then let's tackle it head on. And that probably links back to that the vet I met, and he was like, look, change this story. you are not a victim in this. She is not a victim in this. This is your victorious like war hero coming home. She's literally stormed it, and she's made it. So many dogs don't make it, and so many dogs or people give up. Like, don't give up. This is your war hero, and celebrate her and enjoy what she is, not what she isn't. Like, stop comparing to all of the things that she is not, and go for all of the things that she is. She spends most of her time at that close to you if she can. Like, she is such a...
That's such a good point, though, that it's so hard not to look at, like, you're trying to get back to a certain place versus she could run and then she wasn't able to walk. And I just saw her run in there, happy-go-lucky, jump into your lap, rub my belly. And like, those are huge gains and huge wins. And looking at it, the idea of changing your mindset and managing your expectations.
And I think turning that sort of expectation into appreciation. So actually, what do I appreciate here? What do I appreciate? And what can I sort of take from this? I think so many of us have such, we've almost become a very entitled society in lots of ways, where certainly I know that's my take on it, is that like everyone's very entitled, and I kind of was like, felt very entitled to having a fit, healthy dog. And actually, she is a fit dog, and actually she's healthy in many ways. And for me, I'm appreciative of what we have. And for sure, I mourn and I grieve over what we did have. And at the same time, I'm still very grateful for where we are. And all of the people we've connected with through all of this, and the support networks and the team, and the balance and the perspective it gives you. Like, the balance and perspective, you're so needy. And the balance is like nudging, like, come on, seriously, they are here, they're listening. So the balance and perspective, that you can connect with people on a very different level when you have experienced this. I think you have a different emotional intelligence. I think you have a different way to think about things, your perspective, your empathy, your sympathy, your ability to reach out, your ability to want to look after others.
Has it changed the way you train other dogs, Lauren? Has it changed the way you approach your business and working with others?
Yeah, I think I've always loved people. I've always wanted to include people. I've always wanted to energize people. I think I have a way better appreciation for people who are going through other things, and you may not know what it is at that time. And I think I have a way more balanced way to look at someone's individual goal. I think knowing that actually the goals can be very, very different and still very significant. When I was like 18, 19, I remember being like horrified if someone didn't want to make like a world team. I was like, why don't you want to make a world team? This dog is amazing. You should be going for a world team. And actually, like, my world team with Brave is getting to spend some cool quality time with her, and actually taking her down the bridle paths, or for a little like stroll around the paddocks. Like, it's as good as. And I think a better perspective on, no, I don't need to travel up and down the country to get an energy hit. Actually, we can do this, and then therefore I can understand it in others better. And I don't think I understood it in others when they didn't want to like go for big things, or and now I understand that there are bigger things going on, and sometimes we need to just rebalance and refocus. And wherever you are right now, that's okay. That is okay. Things like I've also massively into sort of now just being able to, I'm no therapist, like, don't get me wrong, and yet I'm one of her carers. She's lucky. You have a few, don't you? We've got a good team. But like, I would always have hands on her. I'll always be looking for little like spots. I'll always be looking for something I can release. I'll always be looking for something that's changed or I can adjust. I'm way more hands-on than I ever was. And I think I always was quite. So you're always, I think I probably have a better analytical eye for other people's dogs and my own. For subtle, soft changes, whether that's under the skin, or whether that's looking at gait, or whether that's if something's changed. I definitely want to get my hands on dogs quite quickly, and I want to look at gait a lot.
And that's really being proactive, because it really is easier to work from something that is mild, that just doesn't seem right, than something that is very acute. But the other piece of it, I think you touched on, is as dog parents and everyone watching, trust your instincts. Like, if you feel like something's up, trust your instincts. At the end of the day, you go to professionals for help, support, advice, but you know your dog best. You know Brave better than
You
anybody.
need to be your dog's best advocate.
Yes.
And I think so many people out there will not be, they don't know them. They really don't know them. Like, you are your dog's best advocate. And if you don't fight for them, then who else is going to fight for them, right? Like, I think that for me is like I know the thing that Brave's gone through lately, and she's had a funny bout the last 2 or 3 weeks. And she's been a bit off the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I felt it in her, like just behind her shoulder, she's got like like a knot really, but it's a compensation. And I know that, and I can feel that, and I will like be rooting to get to the bottom of that. And whether someone else can feel it or not, I'm like, that's there. So I think work instinctively, intuitively, and don't like let up. You need to like make that happen. So whether it's, I mean, we've got Chinese medicine lamps, we've got biomags, we've got lasers, we've got every heat pad that I can find, hot water bottles as well. We've got literally everything that I can think of. That I would still be open to trying more. And I think that would link to I know we haven't got to the tips quick enough really. That would link to my tip, be willing and open to try things. And I'm really willing and open to try things as long as they're in Brave's interest. Like, I would like her to have acupuncture, but she hates needles. She really hates needles. And I think it would stress her out more than help her, because she doesn't like them. And she even seeing like people with needles, she's weird. And so she never has one. And so I haven't pushed her. I haven't pushed that. Whereas I would push other things. How do you
feel about acupuncture in yourself?
Yeah, I definitely hate it in my feet, and I don't like it in my like ears, head area at all. So yeah, I can appreciate that.
I think too, and I mean, people probably, they're listening to all these things, and not everybody has access to all of these things. Even where I live, there's literally one water treadmill in like 3 provinces where I live. But as I'm watching you with your hands on her, like, don't ever underestimate the power of touch and presence with your own dog and what you can do with your own hands.
And also focusing on what you can do and not what you can't.
Exactly.
So don't focus on the things you can't do.
Talk more about that.
Like, I think your language, your focus, and your state are so empowering to your journey. So for me, the language that I talk in, like, I'm feeling stressed versus I'm stretched right now. And stretched is way more empowering, whereas stressed is pretty disempowering. Or this is difficult versus this is challenging. Yes, we're on a challenge. This is challenging. However, thank you. However, it's definitely a challenge versus it's difficult, right? Like, or this is tough and this is hard versus this is a challenge, right? So I try and talk in challenges. And don't worry, I slip up too. Like, I definitely slip up. And then for me, definitely like keeping the focus on what I can do, not what I can't. Like, I would love to be close to our therapists, and we have to work with Zoom most of the time. I'm really lucky that we get to work on Zoom. I am not in Australia, and I'm not 8 hours up the country. Like, I'm here. And so that's where we are. Although if I was heading anywhere, Australia and California have got me. But like for me, definitely being able to think on the focus of the cans. She can go to the toilet unaided. She can walk, trot, canter and gallop, although I try and convince her it's not a good idea. She can, even the other day, one of the dogs down the lane, a farmer's dog, tried to take her on, and I sort of picked her up and just said, Brave, you're coming with me. I didn't need a dog running into her. And she was in my arms going, like, I'm going to take it. I know, you were going to take him on, weren't you? She wanted to take him on. I was like, Brave, no, like, you're not. So she thinks she can too. Like, she thinks she can. And I think,
still a dog. At the end of the day, she's a dog.
She's still a dog. She has no. The other thing that is really powerful, and this for me is amazing, she didn't act like she had anything change, really. I mean, she was slightly quieter for a week or two, but she pretty much, like, they just adjust. Like, dogs are amazing. They're just like, okay, I know you're not going racing, are you? She's gone. She's like, she's going to get us a toy, I think. She's looking for something, aren't you? What are you looking for? There's not a toy here. I could get you one. I'll find her a squirrel. Give me a second. She'd like a squirrel. You want a squirrel? I should get you.
You really do use squirrels. Is that where sexier than a squirrel came from?
She wants a squirrel. She's got an idea on a squirrel. She's gone to play with a squirrel. Bravey, come back over here, please. Come, Brave. Brilliant. Come on this one, please. I want to see what you're doing to the squirrel. Sometimes she chews the squirrels. So for me, it's definitely thinking on the positive and what are the cans that I can do? What options do I have as a positive here? What are the things that I can work on? I think that's important.
I think that's really a good point of looking at, because you really don't know with neuro, like, going in the direction you're going, like you want certain results, but you don't know exactly what you're going to get at the end of the day. And we talked about normal is different depending on who you talk to, but that I was thinking about what was I going to say related to that it's the managing the expectations, but focusing on the gains, like not necessarily the goals, but the gains, like what has she improved upon from where she's been. And that really does shift your energy from like, we want to get here, but we're struggling, to she came all the way from there.
An abundance mindset rather than a scarcity one. Like, so let's think abundantly. There's no limit to this. She can carry on improving, right? Like, let's not think that this is it. Like, I definitely think you can talk yourself into it, or you can talk yourself out of it. And for me, yeah, the small gains. And I think that links to another one for me, which is slowly, patiently, passionately. Like, do it slowly, try and be patient. So she's worked on my patience really, really hard.
Cannot rush a neurologic dog.
Like, you
can't rush a neurologic dog.
Cannot. So slowly, patiently and passionately. Like, I think you have to invest yourself, and whether that's like for me, it's been a team effort. It's absolutely, I don't personally feel that with the lifestyle that I lead that I can give everything all of the time in one direction. So I made sure that Matt and my team here at Devon Dogs, like, they're all brilliant with her, and I think that that's really powerful, like really powerful.
Absolutely. Lauren, we're getting at the top of the hour. If people want to learn more, a lot of people have dropped Brave's link to our video into the comments. If people want to learn a little bit more about her story, we're going to share the link. It's shared many times in the comments. It's shared in the description. How else can people find you?
I think the best place to find us is Absolute Dogs main page on Facebook, or our Absolute Dogs website. I'm happy for people to connect with us. We're ask@absolute-dogs.com if you come to us via email. I would love people to watch Brave's video, and it's a long one, so you know what, share Brave's video. You can definitely share Brave's video as well, and that for me, sharing our story here, sharing actually Brave's video anywhere from YouTube, for me, that one, I just want people to realize that there's hope at the end, and whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. And I love that. Like, all the way through, you have moments where you wobble and you self-doubt, and everyone on our team wobbled at times. There's lots to learn there, and at whatever stage you're at, this is the other thing, this is not just about a dog or a person or any other animal. This is about all of them. So the lessons we learn are very relatable across any species. Or, like, for me, Brave, my mum, my dad, the pony, like, these are things we learn. I love how it's all about you, isn't it? Yeah, she'd like it to be all about Brave. It is about you. That's what we're here doing. She's got the squirrel again. Come here. I know. So for me, this is life lessons. We're learning life lessons. But no, I'd love people to share the video. The things I wrote down, just so I make sure we've said them really, is slowly, patiently, and passionately. I want to make sure we do those, Sarah. Slowly.
We are going to do it. I'm just going to introduce what we're going to do.
Oh, no. I thought that's cool. That it basically.
Before you do them, Lauren, I just want to acknowledge you and acknowledge everybody that's watching and acknowledge Brave. So I did want to say thank you to everyone that's watching, but I also want to say thank you because I remember where you were with the first time we chatted, and I remember where Brave was, and you've shown tremendous courage. That whole quote of feel the fear and do it anyway is, I really think, what you're doing here, and you're getting lots of hearts right now. So I really want to acknowledge you for coming on and being vulnerable and sharing her story and honoring everything that she's teaching us. And she will continue to teach us. And I do want you to share, for everyone that's watching, imagine for a moment that if they didn't get a chance to watch the video or watch this interview, what would you want dog parents to take away? What I don't think tips is a powerful enough word, but what truths or what takeaways do you want them to have as they leave this video for working with a dog with a significant injury in life in general?
And I did write them down, and that's why I was like, oh, I don't know if we're needing to say them or when. So I did write them down because I think these are really powerful in terms of not everyone gets the hour, right? So if there were things I was taking away, and I went with 5, and then I wanted to add loads more, but five is good. So slowly, patiently, and passionately. So add your energy in, take it slowly, and definitely patience, and then some more patience. Secondly, your language that you describe her in, like I was very much, she was a victim, and actually turning it around into she's a hero can definitely change it. And there are bad days, but I love this. My dad said this, he said, and it's always more empowering, or not even empowering, it's the wrong word. It's more thought-provoking for sure, and emotional when it's my dad, right? He was given a 3 to 6 month diagnosis for lung cancer. He's here almost 2 years later. And he said, whether it's good, Lauren, or whether it's bad, like when it's good, you enjoy it, because the good doesn't always last. And when it's bad, you know what, kind of ride through it, because at the same time, it doesn't last. So these things are changeable. And that's definitely something I've noticed in Brave, that when she's really good, I enjoy it. She has days when she's not so good, and we push through, and we try and make it a bit better for everyone. For her and the case specifically, not being afraid, like I was quite afraid to use any pain meds, and I was I avoided using anything like for her for a long time, and I have used a few since, and I don't feel guilty if you need to resort to using some pain meds. Like she was a lot better, and that's obviously with your vet and in conjunction with the professionals that you're working with. But I think I had a huge hang up on those because I don't like using them. And so I think for work with the professionals and work with a team. Your language, your focus, your state, the people you hang out with, if they're doing it as well, I'm like, no, not poor Brave. Don't do that. Come on, she's having a cool time. So think about all of those things. I love you and your line, Sarah. It's not over. It's just different. And I think for a long time, I thought it was over. I was kind of it's over, that is over. And she's still the same Brave. She's still just as naughty. She air snaps, she barks, she runs around like a lunatic if she can. It's not over, it's just different. And then it takes a team, and some days a village. And don't be scared to rely on or ask for help. People actually want to help. You think you're a burden to people, but actually people really want to help. And people that have been in the pool with me with Brave or treadmills or cared for her in any capacity, all of them absolutely want to do it again. They all want to be there, and it's a real privilege. And know your team as well, know your team well, and know who is the expert on your team for each thing. So know who's your expert for each individual sort of area, or like I said to someone earlier today, to Mel I said, Mel, I can feel this spot. I'm pretty sure ultrasound makes no difference here. I need to laser this, right? And she was like, absolutely, Lauren, you've got it. You'd laser that. You wouldn't ultrasound. That's not what you'd use an ultrasound. And I was like, good. That's what my gut feeling told me. And that's what but I'm no physio. And yet I've had to learn being a physio really, or a main carer, or one of Brave's carers, to be able to make sure we get this right. And then gratitude is the attitude. Gratitude absolutely is the attitude. Finding things to be grateful for, whether it's, I don't know, a sunrise, a sunset, a smile from Brave, a day without rain here in Oakhampton could be a thing to be grateful for. Like finding gratitude, even in really small things.
That's so very, very true. And again, thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you, Brave, for being such an amazing teacher. We're all grateful for Brave. We're all very grateful for Brave. And please, everyone, share the video, share the story, share the interview. Lauren, thank you for being brave and coming on and joining us. I'm sure we will connect again. I'm looking forward to see lots of videos and updates on Brave online, and lots of love. You're getting lots of love online. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night or a good morning or a good sleep wherever you are in the world. Take care, everybody. Thank you again, Lauren and Brave.
Thank you.
Thank you.